Well, welcome everyone to Faith and Freedom Talk, voting your values tonight. We are going to be going over the California election results, and believe it or not, California is still not done counting ballots. There is 142,000 ballots yet to be counted. And so, it's been kind of crazy, but there's been some good news. Some of the races have been called, and I heard earlier that got a little bit of issues with Facebook here, so hold on one second. Okay, so basically 10 counties in the state of California have flipped red. That is absolutely huge. And which is really good news, is that the conservative vote, people are starting to listen and pay attention to, what's been going on. And it's sad to say that we've allowed this to happen in our state, for far too long. Christians especially have stuck their heads in the sand, and we have been told, and it's not, completely our fault. Our pastors haven't told us it's okay to go out there and get involved in politics. We've been told, no, it's a dirty business, stay out. And we just have to, listen. Well, we listen to our pastors, but that wasn't the right thing to do. The Bible is clear about getting involved in politics. And I believe it's Exodus. I have it here. Yeah. Exodus 18:21. But select capable men from all people, men who fear God, and I'll put it here in the chat. Men who fear God, trustworthy men who hate dishonest gain, and appoint them as appoint them as officials over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. So basically, right there is where God is instructing us, and he actually instructed, that was guidance given to Moses for the promised land, is that to select godly men to govern over the masses. And it's even broken down. So over the thousands would be national, over the hundreds would be states, 50s would actually be counties, and then tens would actually be your cities. So God gave us a blueprint of how we're to govern. And our government, yes, we vote. I had posted something about the church voting on Facebook, and I had somebody respond to me, and she goes, am I missing something? Nowhere in the Bible does it say vote. But yet God gives us instructions there in Exodus 18:21 to tell us to select godly men who are trustworthy, who hate dishonest gain, and appoint them as officials. Well, the way we in the United States appoint officials is by voting. That's our democratic duty. That's our civic duty. And Christians should get out there and vote. So, and I'm glad to see that we have taken over some counties. And I do have a video clip from Carl DeMaio, and I apologize right now if there is any swear words. He's not perfect, but there's some good news here, and I want to share this video clip with you guys. Here. Okay. Here we go. It's loading.
Surprises in this 2024 election cycle, but perhaps the biggest shocker out here in California, Donald Trump flips 10 California counties from blue to red. Something the liberal media won't tell you about, but we'll show you the numbers coming right up. And there's a lot of good news for Republicans, but also here in California, as overwhelmingly on so many levels, so many ballot measures, so many races, California voters clearly shifted to the center and to the center right. They don't want to acknowledge it, because if they do, then other Californians might say, wow, wait, is it okay for me to express an opinion other than far left, Democrat, liberal? Of course it is. And of course, they don't want you to know that California is shifting to the center and to the right, because you, as a common sense conservative, you may decide maybe I should stay and fight. They want conservatives and common sense Californians to either shut up and sit down or get the hell out. I've always said, for conservatives or California common sense voters who flee the state of California, the liberal media and the politicians out here, they don't care. One less California opponent, one less person that may rise up someday.
How about that? You know, that is really good news. And some of the ballot measures, didn't quite go the way we wanted, but that's okay. But here's some better news. Here's another video from Carl DeMaio. Carl DeMaio is the chairman of Reform California. He won his state assembly seat in San Diego. So congratulations to him. So we got another Republican in the state assembly. It's pretty top heavy Democrat still, but hopefully the races haven't been called, and I'll show you here in a minute what that looks like. But the races haven't been called yet because we still got 142,000 ballots out there that still need to be counted. So, but here's one that shows where Trump won and that he flipped. Now, this is the good news. He flipped 10 counties that were blue to red. And that is great news for California. So let me put that video up. Here we go. And get into the numbers. I know that's what you guys
First number I want to share with you is the statewide number of 40%. Trump cracks 40%. Now, those of you who watched my show last week, I told you Trump would be able to break 40%, that would be an astounding surprise. Here he is, 40% of the vote. But even better, he's up from 34.32%. So he's up six points from the 2022 election. But I also want you to see Kamala Harris. She is down from 63%, 63.5% to 57.3%. That's a 6-point drop for her. That happens without any campaigning by Trump in California. Well, he did a rally, okay, but no real resources, and certainly no California Republican Party to speak of. I mean, come on, dumpster fire of ineptitude and incompetence. They don't really fight out here. But naturally, 6% shift in voters. That's dramatic. People are waking up.
That's amazing. So a 6% shift. That's huge, guys. That is huge. So we're gaining ground. No, we're not the majority here. But I think there's a fight, and we have a good fight here. We got, we just got over the 2024 election, and we got another election in 2 years that couldn't make the shift. So how it works is Congress And the state assembly every 2 years have to run again. State Senate, they have, or the Senate has 4-year term and a 6-year term. So there'll be some Senate seats that come up in 2026, just as we did in 2022, which, everybody said that there was going to be a red wave. The red wave didn't happen. And I think there wasn't enough get out the vote. But in 2024, there was a red wave that happened, and there was a mini wave that happened in California. So that is just really good news. So I want to show, I think it's this one. So here, this is the national results. So I'm going to share this with you. But you can kind of see in California here. Let me share my screen. So you can see here the presidential results. So there's a lot of red out there. The Senate seats, New Hampshire's yet to call. And this was still updated, but it looks like the Republicans will have the majority in the Senate, which is good news. And then the House, we did take the majority in the House. It was called today. And I took this off of Bill Asaley's website, I believe. So that's really good news here. So let's get to the California numbers. So mainly, go here. Okay, get to the propositions. Let me share my screen again. So here, these propositions, and hopefully you can see my screen there. All right. So Proposition 2, this was a bond. Now, in a previous video, and it's the one with Ken Calvert and Bill Alessi. Hi there, Latanya. Hi, Shireen. Thank you for joining. Glad to see you guys. Thank you so much. So the video with Ken Calvert and Bill Alessi, which was a couple of weeks ago, it was just before the election. Bill Asaley explained what bonds are. Bonds are basically taking out debt. So his recommendation was to vote no on all bonds, because what they do is that it's supposed to go, the bond is supposed to go to one issue, but they take from another issue to pay that bond. So it's just like robbing Peter to pay Paul. It doesn't make any sense in these bonds. And this one here, for the bonds, which you got to be careful in wording with these ballot measures, because they're deceiving. So they want to issue a $10 billion bond to fund construction and modernization of public education facilities. I get it. Some schools need a lot of help, but there's already a budget for that, and there's already money. But most likely they took it from something else, and so now there isn't. So that passed. The minimum wage, they haven't called it. This was to increase the state's minimum wage to $18 an hour. Well, those of you who live in California, you know what happened in April when they raised the minimum wage for fast food workers to $20 an hour. Fast food facilities have Some restaurants have closed their doors. Some have laid off. They increased food prices. They're not getting the customers, so they're coming back with these value deals. Even McDonald's is. I mean, you go to McDonald's right now, and before they've lowered their prices, but when this first happened, you go get a Big Mac meal, and it was $15 here in California. So that was utterly ridiculous. So what people don't understand is if you raise the minimum wage, that means that small business or that corporation has to raise prices to cover the increase in wage, or they have to lay off. So it's not good for anybody. It makes no sense, especially with the high inflation. And I'm going to get to the new gas tax that was just passed right after the election. You hang on to your seats, people, because it's utterly ridiculous. Hi, Keith. Thank you for joining in. I appreciate you being here. So that they have yet to call it, but you can see here that 51% is for no. So I guess they're thinking that maybe that 142,000 is going to sway it, which it possibly, well, no, it can't, because there's like 250,000 votes difference between the two, and they can't catch up. So they should just call it and win. Good news, we didn't want Proposition 33 to pass. That would be statewide rent control, which would kill the housing market. It sounds good for renters, but what it'll do is cause slumlords, the landlords, not to be able to fix anything as prices go up, increase, and all of that. You won't be able to do it. Proposition 34, they haven't called it yet, which it looks like it won. This was the measure that would prevent these nonprofits from giving money into political campaigns, which we didn't want. But it was deceiving. You know, they said it was for care providers to spend 98% of their revenues from federal discount prescription drug programs direct to patient care. That's not exactly what it was. It's false advertising. But they do that a lot on any ballot measure, and I'm sure that in other states they do the same thing. Prop 35 passed, so guess what? There's going to be a tax increase, a permanent tax increase on managed healthcare organizations, which are HMOs. So that means our healthcare premiums are going to go up to cover that cost. Again, it sounds great, but it wasn't great because they don't explain exactly what it is. Overwhelmingly, go figure, Californians don't want crime in California. So this increased penalties, and it's to repeal part of Kamala Harris's Proposition 47. That was soft on crime bill. That was a few years ago. That allowed shoplifters to shoplift. If they shoplift less than $950, then they don't go to jail. Nothing happens to them. They don't even get a slap on the wrist. No big deal. Now this one is, 3 petty crimes, which this $950 theft one could be. They get to go to jail. 3 strikes. That's it. So that overwhelmingly passed. Proposition 3 is to repeal Proposition 8. And Proposition 8 passed, which allowed same-sex couples to be officially married in California. But they wanted it one step further, and they wanted it on the Constitution, the California Constitution. This measure establishes a right to marry on the California state constitution, which now to repeal it means that you need 3/4 of the vote to win. no longer a simple majority. So, and was there? Oh, Outboard Dad's wondering how long it'll take to overturn this economy. Well, that's a good question. Trump needs to get in office. He's already starting to do things, but the main thing is he's got to drill for oil, and we need to have a surplus again to bring down the fuel prices. That will help. So that's the big issue right now, and that's going to take some time to rebuild that surplus, and also get the Keystone Pipeline going again. Where were we? Let's see. Okay, so proposition: overwhelmingly 70% of Californians want less crime. Wake up, Democrats. You can't understand why you lost the election. Well, guess what? People are tired. People are tired of the crime and what's going on. Proposition 3. Okay, the next one, that one was another bond measure to fund state and local parks, environmental protections, infrastructure projects, energy. Yeah, and just another $10 billion bond to rob Peter and pay Paul again. So that passed. And then Proposition 5 was to lower the vote threshold from 2/3 to 55% of local bond measures. That didn't pass, which is a good thing. It will give the Democrats free reign over here and just continue to do more harm than good. And then Proposition 6, remove involuntary servitude as a punishment for crime. So basically what this is, and it didn't pass, was that they wanted to put it in the Constitution that any prisoner, if he didn't want to work, he wouldn't have to, basically. And that's in the Constitution. So it didn't pass, thank God for that. So those are the ballot measures there. So some good news, some not so great good news. Some not great good news. Some not so good news. So the state Senate, these races haven't been called yet. As you can see, as of November 5th, there were 31 senators that were Democrats and 9 senators in the states. This is the California State Senate. So it's still pending for the results. There's 40 in total. Hopefully some of these seats have flipped. I can't get the results yet on what is actually flipped. So, because this doesn't tell me much of anything. And then let's go back here. I'm going to share my screen again. I wasn't sharing my screen. I apologize. Okay. All right. So go back where, okay, the state Senate. And this is all on Ballotpedia. So you can go in and investigate these, but this is what I was talking about. The Democrat Party has 31. The votes are still pending. Don't know what seats have flipped. And you wonder why California can't get anything done, or we get these crazy bills and stuff. And wait till you guys find out what they're doing with the gas tax. So, and then here's the House. So there's 80 members total for your state assembly representative, 62 Democrat currently, and 17 Republican. I believe some of these seats have flipped, We just don't know which ones have flipped. So as soon as I see and get an update, then I will go live for that. So yeah, so that's what we did. But here's something that's really interesting. The California counties. And let me see if I can find that. That flipped red in this election. There's a graphic. There's one. Here it is. Oh, let me see if I can download it. Sorry, guys. Okay. Here we go. So you got 2020 on the right, and we were pretty blue in 2020, but look what happened in 2024. 10 counties flipped red. So you can see all these counties here. Orange County, Riverside County, where I'm at, San Bernardino, up the coast, and these are labeled, and don't ask me to name all these counties because I don't know them off the top of my head. But that is pretty impressive, and that's awesome. So California has hope. In fact, I tried to edit the video yesterday's sermon at my church. Pastor's wife, she gave the message yesterday, and a really good message about having purpose, and you're here for a reason. And God has us here in us Californians, us Christians, Californians. We're going to take it back. Mind you, we're here for a reason. And I know some of us, like my husband, and I did too, want to get out of California, but it's like, where are we going to go that is going to be like California? The beauty of it, we're an hour away from the beach. We're an hour away from the mountains. If you want to go skiing, we're an hour away from the desert. And, you know, it's just, and if you want to go take a trip up the coast, you can. In fact, that's a really great road trip is Highway 1 from Santa Barbara on up into Oregon is beautiful. And then going through the redwoods. California has so much. Yosemite is gorgeous. We got Tahoe. San Francisco used to be gorgeous, but they got a new mayor. And I don't know if he's a Republican, but they ousted the old mayor. So that's good news. Hopefully he'll work hard to clean up the city. Other good news is the George Soros backed DA Gascon in LA County. He's gone and he's replaced with a Republican. So that's great news. You know, I'm not disappointed. I'm not. I was hoping that we would get close to 50%. But we came close. We got 40%. So that's really good news. Okay. So that's about the update that I have for the election. But, well, two things. Wonderful Gavin Newsom, our illustrious governor, I'm being facetious. The day after the election, he said he's putting together a legislative task force and going to be looking at suing Donald Trump for stuff that he hasn't even done yet. Can you believe it? He hasn't done a thing. Now, is he's just posturing? Is he going to actually do it? And he's using our tax dollars to sue Donald Trump. So all of us should just blast him with emails, calls, and letters and say, I don't want you to do this. You're my governor, you're my representative, and I don't want my tax dollars to go to fighting Donald Trump. He hasn't done anything. So why are you wasting time here? There's too much other stuff in California that needs to be done. What about the homeless? And I know you want to fight him on keeping California a sanctuary state and allowing illegals to migrate here and stay here. But there is a homeless population. Homeless is terrible. I mean, it's even spreading out to my area, and I am 75 miles away from LA. San Diego, and I'm about 50 miles north of San Diego. San Diego has a terrible homeless problem. San Francisco, and I know that there's been documentaries out there on San Francisco and how horrible it is. And they're just allowed to do whatever they want in the street. Same with LA. And I know we talked about that high rise that they built for the homeless out there in LA, that $600 million building. It's just, sometimes I don't understand how these people think, because there's no common sense to it at all. No common sense whatsoever. So the latest thing is Wednesday, right after the election, the California Air Requirements or Response Board or whatever it is, I'm not exactly sure. Response, whatever. CARB is its name. And these people, this is not an elected board. Californians didn't elect it. They were appointed by bureaucrats in Sacramento. So basically, they're just like them. So they met and they voted to raise California gas tax 65 cents per gallon for a lot of different things, and I will show you all that. But here is Carl DeMeo again, and mind you, I apologize for the language, but it's good information, and I couldn't bleep it out.
Gas tax alone is roughly $2,500 per household that we just saw increased. So let's go through what they have proposed. California Globe, which does great work on California news and politics, they've got the story. Crazies in Climate Land vote to increase California gas prices by 65 cents per gallon. So let me read you some of the quotes from the Air Resources Board in enacting this massive gas tax increase, because you need to know what is actually, we'll get to the numbers in just a minute. They will say, these funds will be returned to the local community to finance projects aimed at reducing air pollution exposure, mitigating air pollution impacts, and improving public health in areas surrounding refineries. Okay, so let me just explain what this nonsense is all about, because it's a lie. This is nothing but their corrupt cover-up. What they're saying is, trust them with more of your money. Give them your money, and they will then give you back some of your money. That's what they're saying here. That is exactly what they're saying here. But the money's for the children.
The money's for the children. Basically, what they're trying to price you out. They're trying to make it where it is too expensive to drive a gas-powered car, so you have to drive an electric car. I'm going to drive an electric car when California has blackouts and brownouts, and we're told in the middle of summer when it's 110 degrees not to charge your vehicle because it puts too much of a strain on the power grid. Come on, people. Californians, you guys are not stupid. Wake up. We have to do better than this. We have to pay attention. We stuck our heads in the sand way too long. And it's obvious by what happened this past election. And it's not just, the United States and the flyover states. It's here on the coast. California. We proved that we're tired of it. And that whole red part, mind you, I get it. It's not the coast. And yes, that is where the elites are. And it goes to say that there's a lot of money there. But one of the things, that Carl DeMaio said is that California doesn't have, the California Republican Party needs to be overhauled, for one, and they need to back candidates. The reason that Newsom didn't get recalled during the recall election is because there were 7 Republicans voting against him. And so the recall election was Newsom against 7, and the Republican Party never endorsed or backed one of them. So the votes were spread thin across 7. If they backed one candidate, Newsom would have been recalled. So the Republican Party here in California, we need to do something. And Reform California, he's done a lot, Carl DeMaio, and you can find it at reformcalifornia.org. And go in and stay informed, because he's the only one that I can find that gives you the truth on what's going on in California. But all those counties are hardworking American counties. Yeah, this here, all the way down, San Francisco, you're looking Monterey, Big Sur, Morro Bay, and then you're getting into Manhattan Beach, Malibu, and all that areas down here in San Diego and all that stuff. So, of course, they're the people with money. And they donate. And then, of course, you got Silicon Valley up here, right in here, right there, that has a lot of money. So we need to fight. We need to fight with our words. We need to fight by making phone calls. We need to fight by emailing our representatives and calling our representatives. So if you guys don't know who your representative is, just go to the California Secretary of State. Election results. And there's a way to find out who your representative is. Go into search here. I'll put in mine, Menifee State Assemblyman. If I could spell. No results found. Okay. There's got to be a way to find it. Maps. Okay, voter turnout. Well, that's not helping me. So, who, all spelled, ask Google, who is my California state assembly member? There you go. Find your California representative. So you got to put your address in here. So I am going to stop sharing my screen for a minute. And it was that simple. Okay. So it's still showing my address, so I don't want to show you this, but basically it tells me that Bill Asaley is my representative, and my state senators are Rosalisi Ochoa Bo and Kelly Seriarto. So that was pretty simple to find out who they were. So so what is this gas tax going to mean for families? So let's hear more from Carl DeMayo.
$20-gallon tank, filling up every week for a year is $1,560 for the typical driver. Well, most families have two drivers in their household. That's $3,120 at this $1.50 premium between the cost of gas nationally on average and the cost in California. $3,120 is what you're paying more per family with a two-car household. So you're really talking about having to earn $4,000 between you and your spouse. $4,000 is the cost of living increase just on gas prices in California. Now, what I want you to do is think about the impacts of the Green New Deal, the Green New Steel, the CARB regulations, because CARB is regulating everything.
So, what is this craziness with the electric cars? Green energy, the environmentalist. Well, I wouldn't want to own an electric car if you're going to have bitter cold and have snow. Absolutely not, because you can't start them. The batteries will not turn over in very cold climates. It just doesn't work. Here in California, it would be great, but to try and find a charging station, you can only go 200 miles on a charge. We don't, unless you're up in the mountains, we don't have very cold climate, although we have been in the 20s once in a while. And here in our area, we did have, actually it's in 2014 on New Year's Eve, we had snow, and we had a lot of snow. And I remember my son and he had a friend spending the night. They were out there running the streets at 2:00 in the morning building snowmen. They had a good old time. And the snow stuck for 5 days in California. So we're not immune to not having snow. In fact, since we moved out here from LA County We moved out here in 2001. We've had snow here 4 times. So it's not unheard of to have that, that cold of temperatures. So, what is going to be the impact of this gas tax? Jerry Brown browbeated us a few elections ago about Proposition 6, that they needed to raise the gas tax at that time, and it was getting a lot of bad press, and it was going to not be voted in. But he came out and he says, well, you want bridges falling down in an earthquake? You want your roads all a mess? So it passed. Our roads are terrible. There are potholes. I just came back from getting my new listing in Riverside, and coming down the 215 freeway, there is pothole after pothole. It's terrible. And especially through that area, because of March Air Force Base being a freight hub, and all the trucks now coming in and out of Moreno Valley and Paris and all that area up there, with all the freight, it's the trucks, these big heavy trucks do a lot of damage over time to the asphalt. And, what are they doing about that? Nothing. Where did that money go? All they do is keep adding and adding to our gasoline. We pay, well, right now, I can say, if you got cash right here, we pay $4.09 a gallon. So with the 65 cents tax hike, that's not too bad. But in other places, like closer you get to the cities and stuff, that's already at $7 a gallon. It's just insane. Absolutely insane. Latanya, you have a question. Can they not do both gas and electric? Well, Newsom, and that's one of the reasons that he wants to sue Trump, is because they have this California being 100% electric cars by 2035. I don't know why 2035. The environmentalist thinks the world's going to come to end in 2035. And, global warming and all of that. So, but they make these mandates just like January 1st, 2025. There will be no more permits given for any new gas stations. We got gas stations upon gas stations going up all over the place right now. They're building like crazy. And car washes. I don't understand the car washes. They're driving they're building car washes. It's like there's 2 on every street corner, opposite each other. One going this way, one going that way. It's crazy here. But no, you can't. They want to be done with gas altogether. They don't want any fossil fuels. Well, the minute Biden took office and he undid Trump's executive orders and stopped drilling, that's when gas prices started going up, because it cost the fuel cost to get goods into the stores, our food into the stores. So fuel costs go up, so do the cost of goods. It makes no sense. The other thing too is here in California, they don't have enough charging stations for the millions of drivers that are here in California. They want us to take public transit. Well, I personally am not going to wait for a bus in the middle of a crime-ridden city. Absolutely not. And you can't have a subway here. We have earthquakes. So you can't have an underground railway. So his bullet train idea, the bullet train from LA to Las Vegas, he got billions of dollars for that, and that crashed and burned. There isn't one piece of track laid for that project. It's like, okay, guys, where is the money going? We need somebody to get in there. Like Trump is going to have Elon Musk get into the federal government and find out where all the money's going and cut the budget. Well, the same thing needs to happen here in California. So we need to pay attention who we're voting for. We need to pay attention, and I mean really, really research these ballot measures, because I can assure you in 2026, there is going to be a bunch of them that probably don't make sense and that haven't been thought through and don't understand the common sense impact that it's going to have. Sure, you want to have electric cars? Great. Build the infrastructure for it first. Don't be stupid. So with that said, unless there's any questions, I think my rant is over. No, I got one more video. I apologize. One more video, the impact of what this gas tax is going to do. I didn't show this one.
Let's go to the numbers. How is this going to impact your gas prices? Well, we've got our analysis that's been widely cited now in the media, because our analysis is the only calculation that's out there that's reliable on trying to find the story here on the actual cost of these new regulations. We launched a campaign to stop the Democrats from giving us a $2 per gallon gas tax in the state of California. Because we've been on this story since last May. All right. Here's my story from last May, where this proposal first came out, that the CARB regulations would spike our gas prices to $2, our gas tax in California to $2 per gallon by 2026. Because the state excise tax is 59.6 cents. It's going up. It went up on July 1st to above 62 cents. It's going to be in 2026, probably closer to 65 cents. Then the cap and trade tax is 28 cents. That's the carbon tax that's already applied to your gas. That's going to be probably 40 cents by 2026. But we're going with what we know today, 28 cents. Sales tax is 12 cents. CARB regulation tax, 23 cents today. It's going to go up to 75 cents in 2026. Underground storage costs 2 cents, 18.4 cents for federal. They have yet to figure out what the oil and gas penalty tax is. They're still working on that one. That's coming up next. So $1.43 today, $1.95 by 2026. Remember, I told you that these other numbers here are going to be going up. So we're probably at $2.10 per gallon in state tax here in California. Government levies on your gas price. Take a look at what that means to the price at the pump. When you take a look at statewide, we've got just today, according to AAA, nationally, price of gas is $3.09. In California, $4.51. So it's like $1.50 difference. And it usually is about $1.75 to $2.50. But $1.50 on a 20-gallon tank, filling up every week for a year is $1,560 for the typical driver. Well, most families have 2 drivers in their household.
So there you have it. California just got more expensive. So thank you, LaTanya. I just, these policies, these Democrat policies, people, are just going to continue to drive people out, and all that's going to be left are the elites that can afford to live here. I know that in a previous video, I said that the state average of housing prices was like 650,000. I was wrong. So I'm going to show you this. And this isn't the whole state, but this is the California Regional MLS. And this California Regional MLS covers most of the state up to parts of the Central Valley and in there. So it isn't all of California, but it's most of it. So I can show you here. I'm going to share my screen. So to buy a house here in California is just, you got to be making well over six figures. You just have to. So we can go back. Actually, let's go back 5 years. So and this is because of COVID. So I'm going to go pre-COVID. So this is January 2019. The average sales price here in California was $685,000. That's the whole state. Today, October, as of last month, because we don't have November's numbers, we're still in November, 1.1 million is the average price in California. And you wonder why ordinary people, the middle class, is moving out of California. They cannot live here anymore. 1.1 million. That's the average price in most of California. That is insane. And shame on me for not paying attention to the numbers, but that's an increase of 6.1%. In 2023, let's go October from 1 year ago. Here we are. It went up $100,000 in 1 year. So that's just crazy. So active homes on the market, actually, right now, that's all it's giving me. It's not giving me prices. I want price. I don't want closed sales price, but it's not giving me that. So, but there's 51,000, which inventory is low for the state of California. So, but yeah, that's insane. We pay more in food than anywhere else, other than Hawaii, because a lot of their food has to be shipped in, but housing is expensive. We pay more for gas than any other state. It's crazy. So what I say, and I'm speaking to the church, is that we need to participate in politics. There's 1.5 million evangelical Christians here in California. And then less than half are registered to vote. Actually, way less. And then only 15% actually do vote. We have work to do. There's a lot of issues here in California that we have to address. And I would say, other than the economy and the open border here in California and being a sanctuary state, instead of just LA and San Francisco being sanctuary cities, the whole state is a sanctuary state, which puts tax, it causes an economic impact on the state as well. Excuse me. Because those people are taxing on the medical system, the health system, on the hospitals, as as well as, the welfare, because I'm sure they're getting money. And so, and we, the taxpayers, pay for it. So, but we have work to do. There'll be more things that we can do and how we can get involved and what we can do. And I know that a lot of us aren't public speakers, and they don't want to come out and share things and talk about things, but get the knowledge, get the understanding. God called us. We have called us to be stewards over what He's given us. And if we are here, such as a time as this, and God hasn't said it's time for you to move on, then we have a civic duty here to California. We need to protect our children. We need to go fight in the schools and get these awful books out of it. We got to get rid of CRT, critical race theory. We got to get rid of the transgender stuff in our schools. And we got to restore parental rights. And it's really important. Those are the main things that we can do right now. Unfortunately, we need to push really hard to gain a 3/4 majority, because abortion rights are in the Constitution now. That got passed in 2020 or 2022 as a constitutional amendment. So to do anything with that, it's going to be really hard to do that. We also need to raise up civic leaders that are Christians and that they have biblical values, and they're going to vote policies that are according to biblical values. We need to get them in the state legislature. Just like we're, been working really hard to get good, honest people and the right people that will vote godly values into the federal government. We need to do the same thing with our state. We need to do the same thing with our cities. It starts at the bottom, guys, because these people that are city politicians will soon be county politicians, and then they will be state politicians before they go to the federal level. So it starts with your city. So pay attention. Go to your city council meetings. Find out what's going on. Make sure that what they're doing is according to biblical values, because that is our responsibility. Even if your pastor's not telling you, that's your responsibility. The Bible is. I showed you that scripture, Exodus 18:21, and I'll put it up again. God has instructed us to choose men who fear God as our leaders, but select capable men from all people, men who fear God, trustworthy men who hate dishonest gain, and appoint them as officials over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens. Remember, the thousands is the country, the hundreds are the state, the 50s are your counties, and the tens are your cities. So it's important. It's important to pay attention. So that's all I have for tonight. Unless anybody has any questions, I thank you so much for joining me. I think I answered everything. Let me take a look. I appreciate you being here so much and your support. And please like and subscribe and share with your friends. We need to get the word out. And I hope this was informational. Please give me feedback. If there's a topic that you want me to go over, we'll research it. I know I got some things working in the future here some really good topics that will help us. So I appreciate you all. Love you all. Thanks so much. God bless and have a great evening.